So today let's make a clay roller, which is for making patterns in ceramics. They may look like this, and when we roll them out we get a pattern that looks a bit like that. And as for motif, let's try something slightly more challenging like this sort of Japanese repeated pattern, lead pattern here. So let's go to Nomad Sculpt, delete and add a cylinder. Okay, let's position it. So we probably want it to be reasonably chunky to give a space for a leaf. Let's up the resolution. I'll probably just go 1000 because we're going to be drawing on this with the mask tool. Validate that. Okay. Right. So I think now we got like one cylinder, one area of the tool. So now we probably want to repeat this a few times up. So to do that, we use the array repeater and count x1 and count y. Let's put that up. On step size, we have to experiment with a little bit until we get an idea of how far away these pieces are. Let's go for 4 repetition and y, and it looks like it's about 0.9. I'm gonna type that in. Right. Okay, good. Okay, so now we want to set up our radial repeats. So that's the repeats around the sort of circumference of the cylinder. I want that to repeat 6 times. Okay, turn on the X mirror again. And now let's just get a sense of how that's working out for us. We go to the mask tool, click here. Let's put the brush size down a little bit. Okay, so now we can see we're starting to get the repeats we're looking for. So go back again, and then let's have a look at the brush we're painting with, because we want something that's probably a little bit sharper. So fold off. Let's go for this one here. We could make our own custom folder as well. So something like this also makes a nice and sharp brush. Okay, good. Yeah, that's probably okay. So so looking at why do we want a sort of sharp brush, because we want to be extruding this shape out using the extrusion tools here when we're done. Okay, going back again. Right now we need to try and paint all the leaf shape. Now this is going to take us a few attempts because we need to kind of get a sense of where things start and stop. So it's about here as expected. I can see it stops at the red line, which is the 0. got a rainbow. Hmm. The master should have a tendency to sort of blur things if you accidentally double click. I'm sure there's a useful setting somewhere to disable that. Okay. It's not quite right yet, but we're starting to get the idea of the shape. Okay. When we zoom in and out, we get a bigger brush, and when we zoom in, we get a kind of a smaller brush with regard to the size of what we're painting on. We can fix that as well in the settings of the tool. Right. At this stage, let's just go back and have a little look at what we are trying to draw. We got the basics of the pattern now after a few attempts. So now we probably want to join up some of these lines here. So I'm going to move in a little bit more. I'm just going to give him a little bit of a smaller brush. At this stage, I'm not expecting anything to come out particularly perfect. So this is okay. Got a bit of a change in the pattern from one set to the next. So when an object flashes purple, it means that it's active for painting. Okay. Let's just join this up. Okay, this is relatively seamless. It's not completely even, because with a few more attempts we'll get some better repetition. Now we need to clean up the edges because we painted over the lines a little bit. So to do that, let's turn on front vertex, so we only paint on the fronts. Slightly bit brush, the top cylinder, and then shoot. End up having a clean line here, yeah. So it's quite important we're not painting over the top or the bottom of the cylinders. So I'm angling here and cleaning up the bottom. We're gonna get a little line around here. That's kind of okay for now. We can tidy that up later. So let's try and see what our extrusion will be looking like. So I can see, so if we just go ahead and extract this, so you can see that we're getting a little bit of gap here, which is probably not what we want. It's coming out quite nice, but let's try and see if we can fix the gap. If we go back one again. Now to fix the gap, we need to move the cylinders a bit closer together. So that's up in our array tool here. So that's the size Y. So let's try 0.89. Okay, a bit closer. Maybe 0.89 is okay. So what we're seeing here is that we're actually seeing what's called set fighting. Things are being overlapping and too close together, which may be okay for our purposes. Let's go ahead and then extract to the extract tool. I'm still getting a little gap here. Okay. So I think what we'll do first is that we'll move these back in place. 0.9, okay. And then we'll extract, and then we'll move them closer together. So let's start by extracting. Okay, do we need the steep? Yeah, maybe let's make it the steep, then it makes it a bit safer with 3D printing. So the thickness I've got 0.04, but it's going to be depending a bit on the size of your cylinders. And then we go extract. Okay, now we extracted our pattern. So now what I want to do is to try and move these gaps here a little bit closer together. There's possibly a way of extracting this without the gaps, but this is just what I'm doing for now. Back here. So we want to fix up gaps here. So let's move the extruded bits a bit closer together. This has been up in our way. So we go size Y, 0.9. Okay. 8, 6. Okay. So Okay, very good. So now I think let's try and combine all of these things, shapes together. So we go up here and we have our cylinder and our extrusions. So they're very active. I'm just gonna join everything. Now we've got one continuous shape. So now to probably kind of combine everything and join up, melt together the edges. Let's just do remesh this on a nice and high resolution, something like that. So about 900 to 1000 with the remesh button. Okay, and that's remeshed now. We got lots of polygons around here. So now what we want to do is to go in and fix some of these offset errors that we saw before. So let's do that by having a radial active and or mirroring. Then we should be able to just paint one area here, maybe using a smooth tool, and then see the things repeated. So we can see we're painting here, and we're repeating across parts of the repeated pattern, which is kind of what we want. Okay. We could try and do various things to sort of even this out. We could use our flatten tool here to just sort of even things and then go back to smooth. So I think the thing key about this is not to be too perfectionist. With the flatten tool, we need to be careful not to push things in too much. That's quite hard to fix. So we're gonna choose to keep it like this. Okay, I'm seeing a few down here as well. So let's try and fix these. Flatten. We could try and fill it in as well. Go flatten tool and fill. Kind of fit in the middle. Again, it's just not an exact science in a way that may be better for this situation here. Okay. Let's do a little smooth around the edges of this shape. It's looking a little bit ugly as well, so I think I'll probably try and fill this in as well. See what comes out of this. What we're gonna do, this is probably about right. Okay, we're pretty close to being done. So one thing we might want to try and do is to um, reduce the amount of polygons a bit. This is quite high and will maybe 500 megabytes when we save it on the disk. So that's quite a lot for moving over to a 3D printer, for example. If you look at wireframe, still ridiculously high. So now that if we say that we're done now, then we can use a process here called decimation to take the number of triangles down. So if we look at our wireframe here, the target triangles, let's try and take it down to 9%, 10% of what we had before. And let's see for safe if this is too much, if it starts to look angular or not. So this is going to take a little bit of time as well. Okay, now it's at 10% of what it was before. I can't see any difference in the shapes. It still looks nice and smooth. This is good. If we look in wireframe, we've got far fewer messes. So you can see it's sort of adapted to capture the detail in the model. Very nicely indeed. Okay, let's zoom back out. Okay, so at this stage, this is probably good. I'm gonna go export this to an STL or OBJ. Let's say what bag. And ruler. Okay, and that's us done.